Always been one of our richest resources.
A blessing, but over the past few years, a curse as well.
Just ahead, making 2024 the year you reach your money goals. We're getting tips from a local expert. Plus, medical tests that could save a life. Screenings are happening in Rochester today that could identify potential signs of a stroke. And we're watching two big stories out of Japan. One involves a fiery crash of 2 aircraft. This was deadly. Your news at noon starts now.
Live from your local news leader, this is KTTC News.
Good afternoon, I'm Jess Abrahamson. First at noon, this just into our newsroom. New details after a man says he shot his father in the arm in Blue Earth County. We now know the names of the suspect and the victim. This happened about 4:20 Monday afternoon in Eagle Lake, just east of Mankato. According to the Blue Earth County Sheriff's Office, the 911 caller was the victim's son, 30-year-old Andy Douglas, who admitted to shooting his 59-year-old father, Jeffrey Douglas. Deputies and a state trooper began giving medical aid on the scene. We're learning that Andy and Jeffrey lived together in a mobile home in Country Manor on Eagle Lake, along with a woman who was there during the shooting but was not hurt. Andy has been held in the Blue Earth County Jail on charges of first-degree assault. Jeffrey remains hospitalized in stable but critical condition. The circumstances leading up to and during the shooting remain under investigation. An update now on a big global story. A passenger plane burst into flames as it landed at Tokyo Airport after a collision with a Coast Guard aircraft that killed 5 people who were delivering aid to earthquake victims. All 379 passengers and crew were able to make it out of the Japan Airlines plane. The Coast Guard pilot escaped, but 5 crew members were killed. NBC's Megan Fitzgerald has the latest.
Good to be with you. Look, though the people on the passenger plane were able to escape, Japan's transport minister is confirming that 5 people on board that Coast Guard flight have died. The pilot, the only one to escape alive. The collision happening hours ago on the runway in Tokyo, a passenger aircraft bursting into flames after colliding with that Coast Guard plane that we are now learning was in fact set to deliver aid to the areas affected by the earthquake. Meanwhile, first responders are desperately looking for survivors on Japan's western coast as the death toll from a series of earthquakes passes 45. We're also now seeing the scope of the devastation. Homes and buildings flattened, private roads and streets buckled, some neighbors returning to their home to get a first look at what the devastation looks like for them. But right now, officials say this really is a race against time for crews that are digging through the rubble, trying to find survivors. Megan Fitzgerald, NBC News, London.
And that is a story that we will continue to watch, both of those big headlines from Japan. Right now, let's talk about the weather. Meteorologist Ted Schmidt has made his way outside where we're having a great day. What's the latest?
It's pretty quiet today, Jess. A little bit of a cold breeze, but temperatures once again are a little bit warmer than they typically are this time of the year. And so in other words, instead of teens or low 20s at this hour of the day, we are flirting with the 30s. And although it was a little sunnier earlier, it's gray now, but still fairly a peaceful day. Here's the current scene, and this is our Lewiston Auto live camera from the northwest Rochester. Right now it feels like 21. The actual temperature here at the studio, 29 degrees, just shy of the freezing mark. Likely working our way up to about that level later today with that cold breeze and gray skies still going on across the area. It's 28 officially at the airport in Rochester, Winona 32. Mason City, a little sunnier there. It's 36, but the clouds are moving southward, moving through Northwood, now moving toward Mason City and Osage and down toward Port Venema, where the clouds will be sweeping across the map ahead of an approaching storm system and a cold front that will deliver some flurry chances, snow flurries, and then some slightly colder air for a couple of days. Weather Almanac, 23 is the typical high temperature this time of the year. Sunset 4:44 later today. Look for gray skies throughout the day. A high of 33 this afternoon. Chilly northwest breeze will keep the wind chill mostly in the low 20s this afternoon. Some flurries coming up later tonight and tomorrow. Then some sun still ahead of us this week, Jess, and still maybe a couple of snow chances. So some active weather ahead. The details coming up in a few minutes.
It's going to be good to see the sun again.
It'll come back, yep.
Okay, we're going to hold you to that. Thank you, Ted. An 11-year-old girl from Indiana is safe and back home after being kidnapped and found in southern Wisconsin. Authorities say 3 adults from South Dakota are now in custody. On Saturday, the car involved in the abduction was spotted at a gas station in Iowa County, Wisconsin. That's just west of Madison. Police eventually pulled the car over, rescued the child, and arrested the adults inside. They're being held in Wisconsin and are expected to be extradited to Indiana to face kidnapping charges there. Happening this afternoon, Governor Tim Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan are hosting an event in St. Paul to highlight the state's new red flag law. This went into effect at the start of the new year. Under the new law, Minnesotans will be able to petition the courts to prevent someone from buying or possessing firearms. It allows a family or household member, law enforcement officer, city or county attorney, or guardian to petition the court. Also happening today, you're going to have to pay to park in a downtown Rochester ramp if you're parked for longer than an hour. The city is returning to offering parking under an hour for free at downtown ramps. For the past 2 months, drivers have been able to park in ramps for free for 2 hours, and that was part of a program to encourage more frequent and longer visits downtown during the holiday season. Also, another reminder from the city, parking downtown at city ramps and meters is always free on weekends, as well as after 5 on weekdays. The Iowa caucuses are just around the corner on January 15th, and the race for the GOP nomination is heating up. Tonight on KTTC.com, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will be answering your questions submitted by voters. Gray Television's Iowa political director, Dave Price, is going to be sitting down one-on-one with DeSantis tonight at 7. If you want to submit questions for this town hall, we do have a link where you can do that on our website. So log on to KTTC.com tonight at 7 to watch this event live. The new year apparently means more time for wine in Wisconsin. A new state law now in effect allows wineries to stay open later. Before, wineries had to close at 9 p.m., but now they can stay open until 2, just like a bar. The owner of Timber Hill Winery outside of Madison says the extended hours will help attract more customers with more live music, parties, and other events. She says the Wisconsin Wineries Association has pushed for this change for a long time.
Obviously, things have changed, and a lot of the wineries now have, beautiful vineyards and settings, and there's just so much more opportunity for events and things after that 9 o'clock law.
Under the new law, wineries can also open more than one location and serve hard alcohol. That's something they previously couldn't do. Social Security recipients are getting bigger checks starting this month. Plus, we're going to sit down with a local financial planner to talk about setting fiscal goals and achieving them in the new year. Plus, important screenings are underway in Rochester today that could save a life when it comes to strokes. We'll be right back. Did you know that stroke is the 5th leading cause of death? Today, some special testing is underway in our community to help save lives. Staff from Lifeline Screening are doing testing at the Rochester Eagles Club until 4 this afternoon. People can get 4 tests today to help identify cardiovascular disease and other chronic conditions. The tests help to find things like buildup of fatty plaque on arteries or an irregular heartbeat. Appointments are mostly made in advance. However, they do still accept walk-ins.
So just depending on what people need, if they have insurance or they don't have insurance, we do offer like cholesterol, glucose panel, lipid panel. We also do, we check for CRP reactive protein, which checks for inflammation of the arteries, to check for cardiovascular disease. So we just do a different test that can help people as far as preventative for cardiovascular disease.
The package price for all 4 ultrasound and EKG tests being administered today is $149. There will be another day you can get tested next month, so you can schedule appointments for the Monday, February 19th screening through Lifeline at the Rochester VFW. And we're going to have those details on our website, kttc.com. In 2024, or it is, which means senior citizens will now be seeing an increase in their Social Security benefits. The Social Security Administration did announce earlier in the fall that these recipients will receive an annual cost of living adjustment of 3.2% beginning this month. That comes out to an average of more than $50 per month. This is the third year in a row for this bump in payments as a result of inflation. However, it is a much smaller increase compared to the past 2 years. And speaking of money, new goals and better habits are on most people's minds at the start of the new year, bringing about a chance for a fresh start. And something you might be focusing on for 2024 is your finances. Our Darian Letty met up with a financial planner in Rochester to talk about budgeting 101. And really this all begins with just making a plan.
That's right, Jess. We're going back to the basics here, the pen and the paper and all those numbers. The new year is always a good time to kind of reassess your finances, but you may not exactly know where to start. Matt Elliott with Pulse Financial in Rochester says he sees a bit of an uptick in the demand for his services at the start of the new year. And people have all sorts of financial goals, just depending on where they're at in life. For the people who are starting out their financial wellness journey, he recommends to create an actual physical budget, whether that be on pen and paper, online, or on an app, and spending at least 15 to 30 minutes working with it a week, looking at your expenses and project how much will be left over at the end of the period. Elliott says it's pretty common for people to be hesitant to start budgeting.
We don't like being honest with ourselves sometimes of things that are maybe, if we really sit down, we're worried about realizing maybe we are spending more on X, Y, and Z than we really want to, and we don't want to have to face that reality. So I think some of that cognitive dissonance is part of it, where we'd rather just not deal with it.
And once you've sorted out your budget, you can move towards other financial goals, such as tackling that debt. Pulse Financial recommends a debt avalanche strategy. So that's when you start paying off the debt with the highest interest first and start working your way down. And if you've got your budget sorted out and your debt tackled, you may want to start building an emergency fund, or if you have kids, start building a college fund. So Jess, there's always things that we can be doing to make sure we're financially well. And this is just a good time of the year to fresh start, really look at your expenses throughout the year and make a plan.
It may be overwhelming to think about, but once you start putting it on paper and know you're working towards some of these goals, it kind of feels good.
Oh, absolutely. Have that agency back into your life.
Oh, great tips, Darian. Thank you. Here's Ted with more on our Tuesday.
Pretty great picture now. We're tracking the possibility of some light snow flurries and eventually some light snowfall in the coming days as our pattern gets a little more active and a little more seasonably cold. The full forecast details are coming up after our midday market report.
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Ted Schmidt.
Today is one last day off for kids of Rochester Public Schools before they head back tomorrow.
Yeah, pretty quiet day. Really not a bad winter day. We'd had some sun earlier. We've kind of lost that, but it's middle of winter. We expect things like that to happen. And eventually we may even see a few snowflakes, but overall, pretty benign weather picture today. Here's the current scene from some of our Lewiston Auto live cameras. Gray skies, a brisk breeze. Temperatures still running well above the seasonal average. So as cold as it seems, it could be a lot worse than typically it is. And this is not a bad picture. Overcast skies, though, instead of the sunshine we enjoyed very late yesterday and very early this morning. 28 right now in Rochester at the airport, 30 degrees in Austin. Mason City still enjoying some sun, at least for the short term. There it's 36 degrees. You see the benefit of that midday sunshine. Decorah now 32. Feels like 16 right now. The winds 16 miles per hour from the northwest, so kind of a brisk breeze. Gray skies across the map right now. See the clouds spreading southward ahead of an approaching cold front and little clipper system. That's going to bring us extra clouds and eventually some snowflakes tonight And for the early portion of tomorrow, but really nothing to shovel in our area, just a few snow showers and flurries. 28 right now in Rochester, Duluth, 30 for south and west, things a bit warmer. For instance, 36 in Valentine, Nebraska, 37 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So a tranquil day today, some flurries tonight and tomorrow. Then snow chances do come back, perhaps by the very late stages of the weekend and certainly early next week. There's a chance we're going to be tracking here of snow accumulation in our forecast. But right now, gray skies overall, just a chilly day with temperatures close to the freezing mark and a wind chill in the teens. Gray skies tonight, a few flurries or very sparse light snow showers, but really nothing of any consequence. And then tomorrow afternoon, we begin to see some breaks of sunshine. Increasing sun later in the day, the cold winds, daytime temperatures in the 20s. It'll feel like the teens. Heading into Thursday, less wind, more sun, and temperatures still mainly in the 20s, which again is typical for this time of the year. And looking at some slightly above average temperatures for the next few days, a lot of low 30s instead of low 20s. That would be more seasonable, but next week colder than average. And that, by the end of next week, could mean single digits or teens for highs. Look at these numbers we're seeing in the 10-day temperature tracker. After Tuesday, the upcoming early week storm system that may bring some snow to the area. Cold air arrives. Drier, colder air comes in just in time for the Eagles Cancer Telethon, I think, a week and a half from now. Some pretty cold stuff down the road. Some partial sunshine, increasing cloud cover across the map. 33 today. Northwest winds on the brisk side, a lighter breeze tonight, some flurries, 24 overnight. And tomorrow, some reemergence of the sun in the afternoon, otherwise some flurries at first, a cold breeze, 29. For your Wednesday, 7-day forecast, we have a little bit of snow, perhaps Sunday, and then better chance of a system that may bring some accumulation. We'll be watching this in time between Monday and early Tuesday of next week. And then again, as I said, beyond that, maybe some really cold stuff. So still some elements of winter ahead, even though it's been fairly benign and rather mild for quite some time.
It is January.
Yeah, I expect some kind of change at some points for at least a while.
Thank you, Ted. He's touched a lot of lives in almost 5 decades of serving others. We're going to meet an Iowa man calling it a career after 48 years of working at Hy-Vee. We'll be right back. For some people, the new year truly brings a new beginning. For one man from Iowa, the start of 2024 brings a lot of change to his normal routine as he's retiring from almost 50 years of working at Hy-Vee. Nicole Tam has the story.
It's not every day Steve Mick gets chauffeured around.
Hello! Happy last day of work!
Thank you. But after 48 years, Sunday is his last day at the West Des Moines Hy-Vee, and the boss insisted on the special ride to work. Outside the store, a display celebrating his years of service.
That's amazing.
What he doesn't know is what's going on inside. Family, friends, and former colleagues waiting to celebrate him.
Wow. That's about all I can say.
Countless hugs and congratulations shows the impact Steve had on the community and his longtime coworkers.
He's the same person today. Extremely nice, extremely thoughtful, willing to help the customers.
He's been such a hard worker all his life, and today is kind of a bittersweet day for all of us.
Since 1975, when he was 16, Steve worked behind the meat counter.
It was just a place that fit for me.
As the chapter at Hy-Vee comes to an end,
It's been a long haul, and it's been well worth it.
The cake at his party is a hint of what part of retirement looks like: camping and time in nature with family.
I'm going to let life happen to me, enjoy every minute of it.
When the day is over, it's time to trade the uniform for a new one, the retirement shirt.
There we go.
And he wears that retirement shirt well. His coworkers say Steve is going to be missed. They say he brought smiles to so many people during his nearly 5 decades on the job. Here's Howard with what he's up to in the kitchen.
We've got a trendy new breakfast that's taking the world by storm. It's super easy, very different, and it's served in a bowl. If you're like many Americans, this time of year you're looking for ways to eat better, feel better, and lose weight. So with that in mind, I want to introduce you to something that we recently came across that we thought was worth sharing. It's called overnight oats, and it goes together like this. Now, rather than cooking our oatmeal, we simply place our dry oats in a bowl along with some milk, a few add-ins and spices, and let it sit in the fridge overnight. And when it comes to options, there are no limits. Look how easy it is to create carrot cake oatmeal, which is simply some oats mixed with grated carrots, raisins, a few spices, almond milk, maple syrup, and a splash of vanilla. How easy is that? If you love peanut butter and bananas, then you'll love how we team them with our oats. If strawberry shortcake is one of your favorites, then you'll love waking up to a bowl of oatmeal that tastes just like it. To get all of these quick and easy favorites, all you have to do is go to our website and look for the recipe of the day, which includes carrot cake overnight oats, the peanut butter banana oatmeal, and our chilled strawberry shortcake oatmeal bowl. Let me tell you, this is really good. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a healthy and easy way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Ted, I know you're a traditionalist when it comes to your oatmeal. The oatmeal with some blueberries on top, but maybe carrot cake oatmeal for tomorrow.
Yeah, it might be interesting. I don't know. I do like carrot cake, so I mean, maybe
too.
a good combination. It doesn't sound super exciting, but I might give it a try one of these days. Huh?
He had the right spices in there and a little bit of maple syrup to sweeten it up.
Yeah, right.
And we need a little sweetener on a gray day.
Yeah, do whatever it takes. Something hearty, too, on a cold winter day. We have gray skies right now, kind of a chilly northwest breeze. We did have some sun earlier. Of course, that is not evident at this point. Here's the current scene from our Lewis Didotto camera. Pretty overcast picture, and it's going to be like this for about 24 more hours, and maybe later tomorrow we'll see some sunshine return. But right now it's 30. It does feel like 23, that brisk northwest breeze. At the airport in Rochester, officially 28. It's 30 in Austin. A little sunshine in Mason City. You see the impact there. 36 at this hour, and 36 in Charles City as well. Clouds are spreading southward. Eventually there will be a few snow flurries, perhaps coming in from the north for tonight and for the early morning hour portion, anyway, of our Wednesday. Gray skies today, a cold breeze that'll keep the wind chill in the teens and low 20s. High temperatures themselves around 33. Temperatures tonight falling back into the 20s. Ted's Trivia. In what country do people drop ice cream on the floor for good luck on New Year's Eve? Of course, New Year's Eve is over, but, you know, I can't get out of my system, apparently. We still have at least one more question to cover that, and we'll have that answer coming up in just a few minutes, Jess.
Do they eat it after they drop it on the floor, or does it just melt?
Maybe it's personal preference. I don't know.
Okay. All right. We'll stay tuned for that one. Thanks, Ted. As the new year is getting underway, it's feeling different than many Januaries have, at least so far. So now's a pretty good time to talk about the unique weather of 2023 and what's to come in the months ahead. We'll be right back. Weather was a major player and game changer when it came to agriculture in 2023. And with the arrival of El Nino, what can we expect for 2024? Tyne Morgan has a look back and forward.
2023 was a year full of weather-related news.
When we look back at 2023, I'm actually going to break heat and drought into two separate categories.
From the intense heat in the South to the drought that parked itself across the South and Midwest. USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey says the two weather events stole headlines this past year.
Really, when you look at the extreme heat this year, it was focused across the deep South, from Arizona to Florida and pretty much everybody in between. And that was certainly a huge weather story that affected parts of the cotton belt.
From wiping out a large part of the cotton crop in West Texas to hitting sugarcane production in Louisiana. Rippey says nearly the entire deep South saw impacts of this year's extreme heat.
Of course, that came with drought in many cases. But when you look at these overall temperatures, hottest summer on record, a lot of hottest months on record, that was a big story in the deep South U.S.
But for much of the Corn Belt, the drought hit without the extended intense heat this year.
We were very fortunate, especially in the Corn Belt, that we did not see the combination of extreme heat and drought at the same time. And that actually led to some of those better outcomes than expected for U.S. corn.
With USDA currently projecting the largest U.S. corn crop on record, Rippey says the temperatures are what helped save the crops.
And you do see that things actually turned out better in states like Iowa, where you look at the numbers, the rainfall numbers, they were abysmal, almost as dry as 2012. But then the heat just wasn't there. And today's variety is a little bit more tolerant of drought than heat. And the outcome was a little better than we expected.
According to Rippey, the drought in the Midwest can be attributed to the blocking high pressure that wouldn't budge across Canada this spring, summer, or fall.
The U.S. Midwest happened to be on the southern end of a lot of that high pressure over Canada. So when we think about that, think about the Canadian wildfires, all the smoke coming down. And we were just on the southern edge of that in the Midwest.
He says that, along with the northeasterly winds blocking moisture from the Gulf entering the Midwest, that's what caused the drought across much of the Corn Belt. To close out 2023, he says El Nino is making a splash once again.
But now that El Nino is kicked in, it's a strong event. It could be one of the strongest on record before it's done. We're seeing that influence of El Nino starting to grab a hold of the reins of U.S. weather patterns. And that's pretty normal as we head into the end of the year and certainly should continue into early 2024.
So what's on tap for 2024? Well, Rippey forecasts the intense El Nino to lead to what he calls pretty profound impacts for the rest of the winter and even into spring.
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Ted Schmidt.
We started the day with sunshine, and that is clearly no longer part of the weather picture today. Here's the current scene from our Louis Dodauto camera. Clouds spreading slowly southward, so some spots still at this hour are enjoying at least some sunshine, but that's only for a limited time. The clouds will win out here eventually across the map. Where it is still fairly sunny, it's a little warmer. Mason City's beginning to see the clouds come in. There it's 35 right now, but Rochester 28, actually down a degree from last hour when the clouds really took a full effect. 30 right now in Dodge Center and 30 in Cresco. It does feel like 16. The winds, kind of a chilly breeze, not overpowering, but definitely kind of a cold and breezy day. Winds 16 miles per hour and remaining in that range more than likely for the rest of today into this evening. And the clouds spreading southward to see where Mason City now and areas to the east also beginning to see less of the sun, more of the clouds, and eventually as a cold front approaches for the north, that will bring some colder area, more wind, and also eventually some snow flurries. Some of those tonight and tomorrow, but pretty minor disturbance for us overall as far as precipitation goes. Right now, readings across the map, really not terribly cold for January standards. The typical high this time of the year is 23. We are warmer than that now at 28. It's 37 in Minneapolis and 37 in Sioux Falls, even Grand Forks above freezing at 33. So a tranquil day with some flurries headed our way tonight and tomorrow. Then we have a chance of snow perhaps by the end of the weekend, but the best chance overall looks to be maybe early next week. Until then, we'll have some sun at times, but more clouds and sunshine in the coming days with some chilly winds and some slightly colder weather headed our way. So today, look for temperatures around 30 in the low 30s. Cold breeze and eventually some snow flurries. They'll begin to develop late tonight into the overnight hours, and some light snow showers and flurries tomorrow until late morning. Increasing sunshine behind that, though. A cold breeze. Temperatures tomorrow reaching into the upper 20s, a little bit colder than today with the wind chill in the teens for the most part. Then heading into Thursday, less wind, but it's going to start colder. Low teens in the morning, at least 10 degrees colder than this morning. And then by the afternoon, enough sunshine to boost temperatures at least close to 30 degrees, but it'll be the sunniest day of the week. More seasonably chilly, though, some 20s for a while. Then the weekend and the days that follow, really not bad. 30s instead of the more seasonable low 20s, and we do have a chance of snow perhaps headed our way early next week. But we'll be tracking that Monday night into Tuesday. But today, increasing cloud cover, or some spots still seeing some sun, otherwise mostly cloudy. 33. Northwest winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, look for some flurries, a light breeze from the west at 24, and some sunshine in the afternoon after we deal with those morning flurries or very sparse light snow showers, but really no accumulation expected. 29 tomorrow, 7-day forecast, warming to the low 30s this weekend. We have maybe a chance of very light snow showers Sunday, but a chance of maybe a system that comes in next week that may bring a chance of accumulating snow between Monday and Tuesday, so something that bears watching. About 5 or 6 days away. But Ted's Trivia, in what country do people drop ice cream on the floor for good luck on New Year's Eve?
This sounds so unexpected. Did they do this in Italy, Ted? B?
It's actually the place you would not expect. Switzerland. And if it were me, I'd probably still go for it. I mean, if you spilled the floor, I'm probably still gonna eat it. I mean, especially if it's like flapdoodles, I'd still eat it.
Flapdoodles,
I
yeah.
love that ice cream.
That
I
is.
love the ice cream. It's awesome.
Well, there's the 5-second rule, right?
Yeah, as long as it's not completely
If you pick it up
melted.
before it melts, you're good to go.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah. Thanks, Ted. We're watching some breaking news in higher education as Harvard's president announces she's stepping down. We'll be right back.
Can you not say here that it is against the code of conduct at Harvard?
This is a breaking news special report.
Some breaking news we're watching. Harvard University President Claudine Gay is resigning from her post as president today. Her resignation is according to a report from the Harvard Crimson. The Crimson, citing a person with knowledge of the decision, said Gay will resign and that it is unclear who will be appointed to serve in the interim. Gay's term as president of the university lasted just over 6 months. She was undone in part by her responses at a congressional hearing last month, as well as an ongoing plagiarism scandal. At the House hearing, Gay was criticized for a lack of direct answers about policies and procedures to combat bullying and harassment of Jewish students.
Is that speech according to the code of conduct?
Israel's military launched new strikes against Gaza while also announcing it will begin withdrawing troops in the coming days. This comes amid growing tensions between the U.S. and Iran in the Red Sea. NBC's, here's the latest from NBC from Tel Aviv.
Well, even as we're seeing Israel continuing its war in the Gaza Strip now with nearly 22,000 Palestinians killed, according to the Hamas-run Ministry of Health in the Gaza Strip, most of them civilians. Now we're seeing for the first time a direct hit against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu himself. Now, this was a long time coming over the last several months. This was the issue that had divided Israel before October 7th. Finally, the Supreme Court came out and rejected a signature piece of legislation by Benjamin Netanyahu that would have basically kneecapped the judiciary in favor of the Prime Minister, Netanyahu himself.
Okay, sorry, we had a little technical problem there. We want to get to our next story now. It has to do with making a better version of ourselves as we kick off a new year. It's time to look at those resolutions and keeping them. Health reporter Mandy Gaither has some tips on how to make your 2024 resolution stick.
From exercising more to eating better. If you're looking to make a change in the new year, you're not alone, but bad habits can be hard to shift.
Change is not like a light switch. It is a process.
Clinical psychologist Susan Alberts with Cleveland Clinic says the first way to help make resolutions stick is to be specific about our goals.
Our brains love to know the direction that we are going. So instead of saying, I want to exercise more, make a specific goal, such as 20 minutes of walking a day. This is going to make you much more successful in completing this goal.
Albert says to also be realistic. Setting goals that aren't sustainable can make resolutions fall flat.
This is because we tend to set behaviors that are too different from where we are at this very moment. Anticipating obstacles. This is a helpful strategy for continuing resolutions.
Albert says stopping a behavior is harder than starting one. So instead of trying not to eat any more junk food, she says to try setting a goal to eat more fruits and veggies. And finally, link a new behavior to an existing one.
For example, if you drink coffee every morning, but you want to start exercising, link the exercise to drinking the coffee. Have it be the very next behavior that you do.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And Albert says it's always good to set resolutions with others. She says creating a goal list with your family can help everyone keep each other accountable and engaged, and help everyone stay on the same page throughout the year. Someone is kicking off the new year, a mega millionaire. A single ticket in Michigan has matched all the numbers from Monday night's drawing, worth $842 million. That is the 5th largest Powerball jackpot and 10th largest U.S. lottery jackpot ever won. The cash value is estimated at $425 million. There were also 6 winning tickets that matched all 5 white balls in that drawing. When we return, the incredible solar sight that capped off 2023. First, we're just minutes away from Investigate TV Plus, and here's a look at one of the stories you can see shortly.
Today on Investigate TV Plus, millions of new cases of dementia diagnosed every year and patient care falling on loved ones.
We take an in-depth look at the caregiver crisis and the need for more resources and support. That's today on Investigate TV Plus.
Hip-hop legend Snoop Dogg will be joining NBC Universal's coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics this summer. He's going to be on hand for primetime programming on both the broadcast network and the Peacock streaming hub. Snoop Dogg might seem like a rather unlikely candidate for traditional coverage of the Olympics, but NBC is testing out some new ideas for its primetime hours. Also, the rapper does have some experience. He joined comedian Kent Hart for Olympics commentary on Peacock during the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. An NBC executive says Snoop's past Olympic commentary got tens of millions of views. We leave you today with this. 2023 ended with an incredible light show from space. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory captured these really spectacular images of a strong solar flare erupting from the sun. This happened Sunday afternoon. The close-up image of the sun shows a mix of yellow, orange, brown, and black. And then a bright white flash appears on the left side of the photo. That is the solar flare. Solar flares are powerful bursts of energy. Flares and solar eruptions, while beautiful, can impact radio communications, electric power grids, navigation signals, and even pose a risk to spacecraft and astronauts. So while they do make incredible images, they're kind of a big deal. It sounds like Ted.
Yeah, it could be a troublesome, but they're cool to see.
They
I
are.
suppose. Hopefully they're pointed in a different direction of the sun, on the other side of the sun to see it from a safe direction or something. Weather today fairly benign and not much of sun to be seen at all because we have clouds that have taken over. We have a chilly northwest breeze. Tonight we may see a few snow flurries and we may see a few of those during the morning hours tomorrow. Look for high temperatures today around 33. That is actually almost 10 degrees warmer than the seasonal average, but a lot of clouds and a chilly breeze that'll make it feel like the teens and low 20s. Tomorrow, kind of a breezy and cold day with some flurries at first, then a little bit of sunshine maybe late in the day. Temperatures in the upper 20s. And then the sunniest day of the week is Thursday. Beyond that, clouds do take over. We'll have a chance of maybe some sparse light snow showers on Sunday. Pretty minor disturbance there. Better chance of maybe some snow early next week. Still iffy on the location of this upcoming storm system. But if it does work its way through, and there is a chance that we'll see with that storm system, a chance of some snowfall accumulation. Early to say if it's minor or moderate or something in that range, but it could be some snow early next week between Monday and Tuesday.
Okay, something that I know you'll be keeping an eye on.
Pretty close.
Thanks, Ted. Enjoy your Tuesday afternoon.